Hello, this is Sarah, and for this video, I will be talking about the 11th house, the sign of Aquarius, and the planet Uranus. So in my last video, I talked about the 10th house and how it's where we're at the top of our game and as to vocation, profession. So the step after that, the logical step after the 10th, where we achieved recognition and success, would be the 11th house. And in the 10th, one's ego and identity becomes fully developed, so the self kind of attempts to go beyond that by seeking something greater or outside the self. The 11th house is all about being one of a greater whole, and it's identifying with something larger than oneself, through friends, belief systems, or ideologies. And how one functions or acts as part of a system or group is shown by the 11th house. How they act within a circle of friends or in a group, just groups in general, and in society as a whole. So our whole, all of humanity. And as humans, we tend to gain better understandings of who we are and how we tick through our associations with others. And this is how the 11th house comes in. And the 11th house is not just concerned with the individual in a group, but kind of the unity of individuals as one in life. From the first house to the 10th, we have been focusing on the individual. But in the 11th house, the individual is at an age where he or she goes back in a way to identifying him or herself as just one of a whole of people. It's kind of where we see the importance of others more, at least not as selfishly as we did before. More thinking about others first, kind of. The 11th house is the second to last stage in the quest to greater consciousness. And there are 12 stages, of course, 12 signs, 12 houses. So it's the second to the last. So we're almost there. We're almost at our highest point of consciousness. And this house corresponds to the ages of about 50 to 55. So hopefully that time, that's where hopefully people are at a higher level as far as, giving back maybe to society. And the opposite of this house is the 5th, where we were focused on our own needs for expressing our individual self and our special talents and what are our special, unique personalities and why we're special. But in the 11th house, it's where we invest this need for the greater good or for the good of a group in which we identify ourselves with. And humanitarian and philanthropic aims are key ideas when talking about this house. And philanthropic aims and humanitarianism is very much like the sign of Aquarius. And Aquarius, much like the 11th house, is the second to the last sign in the zodiac. And Aquarius is a fixed masculine air sign. It's the last of the air signs that I'm going to be talking about. And the sign of Aquarius is usually represented by the water bearer. And of course, the word Aquarius is Latin for water pourer, which is actually a derivative of a Greek word meaning water pourer. And we can see this has to do with the 11th house and Aquarius, what I just talked about, which, a water pourer is one who gives water or sustenance to others. It continues this idea of humanitarianism and philanthropy. And the glyph of Aquarius is supposed to represent the waves of water, which a bear pours forth, which a pourer bears forth. And it also represents or symbolizes the two angles or the shins in anatomy, which is what Aquarius rules over. And Aquarius also rules over circulation in the body. And the color for this sign is violet, and its note is A sharp or B flat. And one thing about Aquarius that is commonly said is that no two, at least sun sign Aquarians, are the same. So for sun signs, an Aquarius is somewhat difficult to pinpoint. It's also said that if you can't figure out someone's sun sign, they're most likely an Aquarius. Now, some positive characteristics of the sign is that they tend to be rather friendly, yet eccentric. They're definitely individuals and original, and they can be very spontaneous and creative. They're an earth sign, so they're all about thinking, very intelligent in that way, and creativity. And they also tend to be incredibly logical, also helpful, the humanitarian part of the 11th house, and very independent. They value their independence and their need to be alone, etc. But some negatives to this house, they can be unpredictable, They can also be argumentative. They like to play the devil's advocate, saying they agree or arguing a point that maybe they don't necessarily agree on just to kind of mess with the other person. But they can also be very aloof, and detached. And it's also a fixed air sign, so they're incredibly logical yet stubborn. So when they get an idea in their head that they think is correct, they will stick to it. And that kind of goes with the definition of the sign, which is I know. So they can sometimes appear as know-it-alls to others. And this sign is very much a paradox, just like all the other signs are a paradox, but this sign in particular, with the 11th house being with humanitarianism and, one as a group, the sign of Aquarius values independence. So it's kind of wants to stand out in a group, yet, and believes in groups and the greater good as a whole, but they still have to be with themselves. They still have to maintain their own individual perspectives on things. And one way Aquarius is like that is they love humanity and they love society, yet they just dislike people. They dislike dealing with individual people. So it's very much a strange sign in that way. And they those with strong placements in Aquarius or their sun in Aquarius or any other planets in Aquarius, they can value independence and they prefer change. They like changing and innovation. And this is kind of where that creativity comes from. And they also like working on their own, but they can manage very well in groups. Even though they're a fixed sign, they are adaptable. They're great adapters. They can adapt to most environments. And this is actually the only sign that is ruled by not only one planet, but two, which are Saturn and Uranus. And before Uranus was discovered, Saturn ruled two signs, Capricorn and Aquarius, and then when Uranus was discovered, astrologers decided that Uranus was the ruler of Aquarius, but they also kept Saturn as the co-ruler of Aquarius. And this is the only sign that has two rulers. And these two rulers, Saturn and Uranus, which are actually so different, yet they rule the same sign, also kind of goes in with this, the paradox of Aquarius and how this sign is so different, yet has many of the same qualities of Saturn and Uranus. But Saturn, being ruler of the sign, kind of gives the sign a serious outlook and personality. They like to get down to work, and kind of like Sagittarius, once they have an idea in their head, they usually follow through with it. Even though they do like change, but it's following through, and they keep going. I'm also very presentable. Keeps the sign grounded in a way. Down to earth. Strong Aquarius-influenced people have an affinity for technology usually, and everything new and inventive and original, much like the other ruling planet, Uranus. The glyph for Uranus is a combination of the glyph for the Sun and Mars, and according to Wikipedia, this glyph represents the drive, aim, or force over a divine spirit, surrounding the seed of potential. And if you look at the glyph, that makes sense. It looks like... That kind of makes sense. In Greek mythology, the god Uranus was the personification of the sky, and also was the husband to the earth goddess Gaia. And in Roman mythology, Uranus' equivalent was Kailos, which also means sky. And Uranus is very much like the 11th house in Aquarius in that it governs over the need for independence, everything new and technology, and it's attributed to that of genius, individuality, and new discovery. So technological innovations goes with this as well. And Uranus can be viewed as almost a higher mode of Mercury, but it's not so helping, because Uranus wasn't so much of a helping planet as Mercury was, the god. But it's more, the higher mode of this is more the higher mode in learning and advancement in the sciences. So things that are new things that come out, computers are a big thing with Uranus. And this can also, it also denotes signs of genius and higher minds with those, depending on where one's Uranus is placed in their chart, show their spontaneous natures or abrupt changes in their personality or place or stage in life. And it's not so much a personal planet, but it's more influential with abrupt changes in society. So Uranus is more the greater roles or what happens to us. And since it's an outer planet, it's not a personal planet. And revolutions in different political atmospheres and ideologies can be attributed to this planet as well. So Uranus, like Pluto and Neptune, which Neptune I will talk about in my next video, these are planets that, when in transit, will affect us, but they're more likely to affect the greater societies in transit and not so much our personal well-being. So the 11th house, Aquarius and Uranus, encompass many of the same ideals in reference to societies and how we view society. But since they're also concerned with individuality and original ideas, the three have their own ways of looking at these matters. So even though they're all very closely related, their differences can illustrate the ways in which they represent innovations and changes, hopefully for the better. And also it's kind of an eccentric thing, to have two rulers, and the 11th house is also ruled by Saturn and Uranus. So these are very different and strange, eccentric subjects in astrology. So with that in mind, this is the end of this video. And in my next video, which will be the last for the houses, signs, and planets, will be the 12th house, the sign Pisces, and the planet Neptune. So thank you very much for watching, and please subscribe and comment. I need more comments, and have a good day.